Welcome, Badass Manifester. I am so glad you are here. I'm your host and head coach, Ashleigh Gordon, master mindset and manifestation biz expert, founder of the quantum coaching certification, and multiple six-figure entrepreneur obsessed with empowering you to create quantum leaps in your energy, your life, and your business. This is the show to help you make magic your everyday normal, where the ripple effect is real and the guest experts are world class. My mission is to power your conscious and subconscious mind with manifestation teachings, business tools, and coaching techniques to put your potential into action. Consider this your weekly up level. Are you ready for quantum transformation? Let's do this. Welcome back, Badass Manifestors. I'm so excited for today's episode. I have such a gorgeous, beautiful soul guest inside and out. She is the founder of the Alchemized Spirit brand. She's a mindset coach and spiritual guide, and she's a QCA graduate and alumni, and she is one of my soul sisters. Welcome to the show, Ashleigh V.
So happy to be here.
Did I say your whole name? Ashleigh Vanderhoven.
Yeah, there we are. Perfect. Sounds so prestigious.
It really is. It really is. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited that we are finally doing this. Like, why have we not done this sooner?
It's perfect timing. It's
Okay.
perfect timing. I'm very happy though. Thank you for asking me.
Of course. I wanted to bring Ashleigh on because she has so much wisdom. And we were talking before. I feel like every podcast starts like that. We were talking before we hit record and we were talking about, I feel like that's a meme. And we were just talking about trust and flow and divine timing and so many beautiful, beautiful messages that I think we all need to hear. Oh, that was my phone. Sorry about that, Brett. Okay. Beautiful messages that we all really need, including us. So, Ash, will you share a little bit about just first, what you do in the world, how you work with people, and where you're at right now in your life? Big questions.
Yeah. Big questions. So what I do coaching wise is I help spiritual women who struggle with self-doubt and imposter syndrome to overcome that and rewire that for success, self-belief, confidence, and like as a result of rewiring all that stuff, they manifest abundance and all the opportunities. So that's kind of what I'm focused on right now, coaching wise. I have a group coaching program that I take people through, one-on-one, of course. And yeah, just loving that business and merging like spirituality with neuroscience and all the good things.
And I just want to say she's damn good at it. Damn good at it.
Thank you, Ash.
So amazing. And I know right now you're in South Africa. And I know just like, I don't know, a month ago or less, you were in the States. You were living in San Francisco for a bit. And I know that you are kind of hopping back and forth and you've been traveling. What's going on over there? What's going on with you as far as just, being in South Africa, being in the States? Can you share a little bit about that journey for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I get my green card, it's going to be the most insane manifestation because since I was 18 years old, I wanted to live in America. And I was an actress before I was a coach. So, like, my whole life, I've just been like, I just want to get to LA and live in LA. And I have lived in the States for like 6 months, a year. This last stint was a year and a half. But I've always had these immigration issues and problems. Like I applied for 2 work visas before as an actress. I didn't get them. And this last time I went to the States, my partner got a job in San Francisco. To kind of really long story short, um, you know, as his partner, you're not allowed to work in the US. So even if you get married, like your wife or husband is a complete dependent on you. They can't earn money. So I said to him, that's cool. I'll just come visit you here and there as a tourist. And so I went over to visit him. Was it last year? Yeah, last year, April. And my visa got canceled at the airport. Ash, I was coming to the retreat.
Oh my gosh.
Remember? Yeah.
She
I
was
was coming.
okay. She
Yeah.
actually flew from South Africa. Obviously, she was going to see her partner, but she came to the quantum up level retreat in Connecticut.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It
you flew
was,
from South Africa to New York.
yeah. Well, I flew to San Francisco and then San Francisco
Okay.
for a few days. And then I think I flew over to New
Right.
York for the
Right.
retreat. Yeah. And that was like part of like, part of the trip. I was coming for like a month. I was going to do the retreat and go home, see my partner. And immigration pulled me aside at the airport, interrogated me for 3.5 hours. And eventually they canceled my visa. I'm not going to go into why. They canceled my tourist visa, but they let me in the country. And I remember praying for 3.5 hours because they tell you to switch. It's quite intense, like being in there. If you've ever been in secondary in America, it's intense. And I was praying, like we weren't allowed to be on our phones or our laptops or anything. Like, so I just sat there, like trying to center myself, praying that I get let into America. And I was thinking the whole time, I was like, if I don't get in, I'm not going to the retreat. I was like more important to me. I was like, this freaking retreat, like
Oh
I
my
have to get in.
God.
So I was like praying to my angels and everything. And I swear it was a miracle that I got in because all the lawyers said to me, they were like, this never like it makes no sense that they canceled your visa but let you into the country. So I get let in. And to cut a really long story short, I had to stay there and switch onto another visa because if I left, I would be banned for 3 years. So if they hadn't let me in at the airport, I would have been banned from America for 3 years and possibly my life. So it was like a big deal that I got into America. And obviously for the last year and a half that I was there, I couldn't work. I had to shut my business. I just graduated QCA. I had 3 clients, which is pretty insane within 3 months of finishing your coaching
Amazing.
certification, but that's QCA. And
Yeah.
and had to shut it all down. Like I had to within like a month or two shut everything down. And so yeah, it was very intense, but so much good came of that. I mean, I would have never gone to the Zen monastery and spent 3 months living in a Zen monastery had it not been for that. There were like a lot of things. I could go into the details, but there was
Yeah.
big trust and surrender and all the things.
It's really hard when you have your sights set on something that you think is going to happen and then it actually gets taken away from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, what do you do in those situations and circumstances where when that happens? Like, I love how your default was just like prayer. You were like
Yeah.
immediately just going into prayer. And I mean, there was nothing
Yeah.
else to do in that moment. But I mean, you could have worried, you could have stressed, you could have been going
Mm,
down, the rabbit hole. And so
mm,
how someone listening to this could take what happened and be like, this is the worst thing in the world. Like I want to be a coach and now I can't even run a business. Like I can't, everything has to come to a halt essentially.
mm.
How did you transmute that for yourself for those good things to come out of it? Because yes, good things came out of it because that's the way in which you decided it would be.
Mm, mm, totally. I mean, so I have a practice, like my surrender practice is really good because I have been thrown a lot of curveballs. And my approach to life is when things go so whack and complete other direction of what I thought I was trying to create, it can only be the universe sending me in a different direction.
Mm.
And I'm being gifted something beautiful out of that. And the longer I kick and scream, the longer I'm putting off that beautiful thing. And if I kick and scream hard enough, I might not even ever get it, or it might go away and come back 10 years' time or something like that.
Ooh.
So at the time, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to trust. And there was like, there's ways to, some people were like, well, you don't have to shut the business down because it's online or whatever. And I was like, no, I'm going to trust that if I do that, like that starts to push me out of integrity. And I'm going to trust that if I do the right thing and just shut this business down, that the universe will take care of me. And within a week of doing that, my acting agent from South Africa called me and I got paid like $3,000 for a job I did 2 years before.
Oh
So
my God.
money just started pouring in out of nowhere. And then that same week, I went to the beach one morning and I drove past basically I was like, it was a super windy road just outside of San Francisco, and I was feeling car sick. And so I was like staring out the window, not at my phone, because I was trying to like not throw up.
Yeah.
And this gate flew by me and it said Green Dragon Temple closed for retreat. And I was like, what the fuck is this place? Like dragons and temples and retreats. Like, I have to know what this place is. And I Googled it and it was the Zen monastery. And I saw that they had this practice, like this 2 month practice period coming up. And you had to apply and you had to have previous formal sitting experience, which I didn't. But my brother's into Zen. And to cut a long story short, I applied. I was like, okay, if I'm meant to be in this place, I'll get in. I got in. And that experience, I mean, like, for sure, I wasn't coaching people, but what I learned, I got to learn from like 80-year-old Zen masters, like the best Zen masters outside of Japan. It's like the oldest Zen center in the West that started in 1920. And the Zen teachers I learned from, like the guy that I learned from was, he studied with Thich Nhat Hanh, who was like the biggest Zen Buddhist teacher in the world. He's Vietnamese. And so that was insane. And that
That
was like crazy. Like if it meant that I like if all of that conspired for me to go and spend 3 months, because I actually landed up staying on for a month, 3 months in that Zen monastery, then yeah, that makes total sense why all of that happened. Because
whoa.
yeah.
Whoa. So
And
and
I
I'm
got to go, sorry, one thing is like I got to go guilt free because my business was closed.
yep.
And I also, one of the things I said going in was like, I make money. My mantra was like, I make money doing absolutely nothing, like staring at a wall. And I received the most amount of money I have ever received in a 3 month period during that time.
That gives me full body chills.
It was
Whoa.
insane. And I think it was due to the fact that I really felt like I deserved it. Like my worthiness was like, yes, God, I'm being a little good Zen Buddhist girl. and, and I did have been through so much. I deserve this. And like just became a total match for, yeah.
There's so much in there that I want to dig into that we can. I remember at the time we were talking and you were like, I'm going here. And I feel like, was it the Zen monastery where you were like, it costs this amount of money per month? And this
Mm,
is exactly like the amount
yeah.
that I allocated. Like, what was that story?
Yeah. So I had $10,000 in savings. And when I made the decision to like close my business, I was like, okay, if I can just figure out a way to live off $1,000 a month for 10 months, I'll be fine. Just as my partner, obviously he pays like rent. So I was like, $1,000 is doable. Just actually it's not in San Francisco, but I'll make it work. Um, and yeah, the Zen monastery was it was $1,000 a month. So I could like it just matched exactly what I was budgeting to spend per month.
Per month.
And it actually helped me because you can't buy anything in a Zen monastery.
Yeah, it's like it's minimalist, right? You don't need anything, you don't need to buy anything.
Exactly.
Wow, wow, wow. And so it's there's so much there that you said about how you went there guilt-free because your business was like shut down at that point. You had to pause. It's like, what better way to spend your time? Like who gives themselves time like that anymore
Mm.
to just
It's
be?
insane. Yeah.
What was your biggest lesson from the Zen monastery?
There were so many. I,
Anything that comes through.
I think like the biggest lesson, I've always been really, really troubled by the amount of suffering in the world. And like my whole spiritual journey has been like, why, God? Why? Like, why? It doesn't make any sense. And what I learned there, and like this is the crux of Buddhism, is that like life is suffering. in a lot of ways, like the human life. And I don't want to manifest that, but there is like a truth to the fact that we come here as humans, and part of our existence is to experience this duality and this contrast between like extreme joy and extreme suffering. And so this is like a reality that like humans suffer, and there always has been suffering, and there is suffering today, and there will always be suffering. And what I learned was the more in touch I am with my own suffering. So when you sit in meditation and your body starts to ache and your back and like you want to run away, like developing a relationship with my own suffering in me without running away from it, without needing to change it, just being completely, totally present with my own suffering, expanded my container and capacity to hold the suffering of other people.
Ooh.
And when I see the world going through immense suffering, I don't know, I feel like I have a bit of a superpower now, because like I can sit with that without needing to change that person. I mean, it's like very coachy, but like
Yeah.
without needing to change them, fix them. Like the most incredible thing you can do is
Rescue
just,
them.
yes, rescue them and just sit with that, you know, just to sit with that suffering and not need to change it, and just accept it for exactly what it is today, right in this moment on this day. And that really helped me.
That's so profound.
Yeah, it was deep.
Very, very, very deep.
Mm.
And did you have teachers kind of guiding you through that, like noticing the suffering, noticing like what was that like?
It was so cool. So I didn't know what to expect when I got there, but so a couple of days in, like I knew nothing about Buddhism, by the way. I was such a newbie. Like the people, this is like their pilgrimage to go and do this 2 month practice period. And here I was, like, I didn't know who Thich Nhat Hanh was. Like I knew nothing. And
Nothing.
I was very open about that. But like as someone who loves to know everything
You're
and
like,
someone
hey,
who,
I'm here. I know nothing
yeah,
about this, but I'm just ready to learn.
exactly. I just had to be like such a beginner, and it was so perfect, but it was very humbling as well, because I do see myself as very spiritual, but I was like, geez, I know nothing about Buddhism. Anyway, so couple of days in, I find out you can have what's called a dokusan, which is like a one-on-one with any of the senior Dharma teachers or the Zen masters. So you go to their like assistant and you book in a time with them, and then you like sit in this little room and you walk in and you like bow and do prostrations, and then you sit opposite each other on these little
Oh my
meditation
God, it
pillows.
sounds like Eat, Pray, Love. Like,
Yeah, and actually I haven't watched that movie in a while, but probably yes,
yeah.
yes, exactly. um and yeah, and then you get to have like a to discuss your practice of spirituality and Buddhism and ask them any questions. And so yeah, I had like a lot of transmissions from these Zen masters, which I've since used in my coaching sessions. And like when I was taught this, like so much dick stuff, deepest inner
Yeah.
critic stuff, Ash, like welcoming the inner critic in. I've had these beautiful transmissions from Zen masters that made me cry. And then I transmit them to my clients, and then my clients cry and have this insane shift. And it's like such a cool thing that happens. Yeah.
Whoa. So what did you ask the Zen master?
The first thing I asked was because I'm ADHD and I was like a crazy child. And so when I got there, the first thing I asked him was like, I was like, I don't know if I fit in here. I'm like very extroverted. Everyone's very slow and quiet and mindful. And I feel like this whole place is just trying to tell me to calm down. And he's like, Who are these people telling you to calm down? And I was like, no one. Just in my head. So that was like, yeah, that was quite funny. That was the first question. Um, and then one of the other questions, I used to go in there and try and get him to admit that he is like, because the thing about Zen is they're these different schools of Buddhism, and Zen is very plain. What you see is what you get. It's like very non-mystical, if
Mm-hmm.
I may say it like that, very practical. I think that's why a lot of men practice Zen, because yeah, it's just very like
Straightforward.
almost very pragmatic actually. You know, it's not like we're not seeking some mystical experience. Theravadan Buddhism starts to go into like the, like the dream yoga and all that, like starts to get very magical and mystical. So I used to try and get him to admit that he'd seen mystical things. It's like 80-year-old guy. I'd be like, what do you see in there? And like I was like poking him, but he wouldn't give me anything. Um, and then I'm trying to think if there are any deep things I asked. I wasn't just messing around with the Zen master the whole time.
Did you feel like you built a relationship with him? Like, did you feel like you knew each other?
Yeah, so yes, there were a couple. So there was a woman who I worked on an organic farm while I was there. So each person gets put onto like a crew that does service. So you either in the kitchen or in the land and garden or the like, organic farm or doing housekeeping, and they assign you. And I manifested being on the farm. So every day I'd go work on the organic farm, and there was a senior Dharma teacher there. Her name was Sarah, and I got pretty close to her. She's amazing. Um, and there was another guy, Kokio, who super cool. He's not much older, but like spent 12 years, following the Grateful Dead around America, like was a total hippie. And now he's like this Zen priest, like master. He was really cool, like to chat about. It's I didn't get very deep like I would a coach. I'll be
Yeah.
honest, like emotional, like I would with a coach. And maybe had I stayed there longer, that would have happened. But it was mostly like questions about meditation and my practice and awareness and stuff, but always really, really cool things.
That's amazing. That's such a
Yeah.
cool gift that was you created for yourself,
Mm,
you know? Wow.
yeah. Yeah. And now I feel like I have a spiritual home to go back to, because when I go stay there now, like I went for 2 weeks the other day. I don't pay. Like I just go and I say, hey, can I come help out in the kitchen? And they're like, yeah, sure. And there's like a room for me, and it's 40 minutes from where I live, half an hour from where I live. And I just
That's,
go move in. Yeah.
my God, that's incredible.
Yeah. It's very
Wow.
cool. Yeah.
So thank you for sharing about your whole like immigration manifestation journey of how you're, moving through all of that and the gift that it gave you. And I know you're still in that right now. You're in
Mm,
South Africa. You're going to be there for quite some time until you manifest your visa, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you're away from your partner and
Mm,
you're back doing your business.
mm,
So like what is your practice now in navigating, you know, where you are, where do you I know that you are where you want to be, but I guess I'm just curious for someone listening who feels like maybe they're not where they want to be, or they
mm,
feel like they're being tossed around and they don't really know what their future holds as far as their location and all of that. Like
mm.
what is your practice right now with all of that?
Yeah. Um, I mean, we spoke about this before we started recording. Um, I am definitely going through a winter. I was saying to Ash, like when I get back, like I've just gotten back home for it's about 2 months now, and I've like hit the ground running, and like business is back on, and I'm doing all the courses and creating content and like getting, I've got a couple of amazing clients, but like trying to get things back like up and booming. And I feel really burnt out. Like, and I was telling Ash, I went through this whole, I wasn't exactly working when I was in the States, but I was stressed and I didn't know when I was going to leave. And I hadn't seen my family for a year and a half. And I was just trying to like cope for a year and a half, really, with extreme uncertainty. And now that I'm back, I'm like, I kind of, yeah, I'm trying to go, go, go. But I realized 2 weeks ago, I was like, I need to slow down. Like, I need to actually just be like take care of myself and allow things to slow down. Is so funny because I drew the freaking turtle spirit animal card, which is like slow and steady. Like the universe is like, bitch,
Wow.
slow down. Like, yeah, so crazy. And so I'm going through a bit of like, I wouldn't call it a dark night of the soul, but it like a lot of reckoning, like a lot of just trying to process that things didn't quite work out the way I wanted them to. I'm back in South Africa, hopefully going back to the States. I still have to get that visa, and there's a chance that could not come through. And then Justice and I have to think about where are we going to go live. He has to leave America. Like it's a lot. So, but for the first time, I feel so held by the universe. Like, for instance, the turtle card. My mom has just been showing up for me in like a way I've never known before. I'm surrounded by my family, and I feel like I'm I'm in flow, but not this. I used to think that being in flow meant like things are manifesting and you're like everything, you like, you snap your fingers and things are there and you're joyful and all these things. And like, I don't feel like that. I actually feel quite like kind of a little bit down, like I'm in my winter, but things are so in flow. Like the way the universe is just sending me message after message, synchronicity after synchronicity. Like I'm so held and I feel like I'm so in flow, but it's just a completely different flow than what I've ever experienced before. And yeah, it's really beautiful. I'm just like, you got me. Okay, you got me.
His, oh my goodness. I think there's so much there because I do think that most people think being in flow is everything manifesting one on top of the next, just showing up, showing up, showing up. But it can also just be a deep feeling of support,
Mm,
and that is flow when you feel supported and you're right where you're supposed to be, held, like just where you are. I feel like that is a mindfulness practice in and of itself.
totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Acceptance again, acceptance,
Acceptance.
surrender, divine timing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of glad like I didn't come back and sign 15 clients straight away because, I'm tired
Yeah.
and I just want to be soft and I just want to be gentle. And like, it's weird though, because I've been through tough times and had to coach people. And it's almost like my coaching gets better because the opportunity to be of service during that time is just like the best thing for me.
The medicine.
um yeah, the medicine like just gets me out of my head. So but I'm just trusting like the universe is just like it's okay, like just relax, like chill, bro.
Bro,
It's
chill, bro.
coming.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. And I feel it. So I'm so glad that you're sharing so openly about this because, I think it's easy for people to think that success when you're a coach is, always trending in the momentum of more and more and more and more.
Mm,
And sometimes it's not very linear like that. It can be, up and down, if you will. And
mm,
like it's okay that it's up and down because you're getting what you need in the moment.
mm,
It's just like on days when I used to have full coaching schedules and two people would cancel their call or reschedule their calls, I'd be like, oh, thank God, because I needed this rest. And so
yeah.
it's just like a season of, okay, I don't have all the clients, 15 clients right now. And that's okay because I need to rest in this moment in my life and I need to just chill the fuck out. Right. Like you were just saying.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
there's something to be said about that because, a lot of times people, especially when they want to come into the Quantum Coaching Academy, they're like, you know, well, will I be successful? How will I know that I'll be successful when I'm done?
Mm,
How will I know that I'll get clients? How will I know that and there's no answer for that. It's really about showing up. I'm curious what
mm,
what your answer would be to someone who would ask that question. And even if it's not QCA, even if it's just, starting a coaching business in general or any business, like how will I know that I'm going to do this? Because I feel like it ties into like the inner
mm.
critic and like all of that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. I think it's like it depends how much you want it.
Yeah.
It's like it really just depends how much you want it, how connected you are to the fact that it's your calling, and are you gonna do what it takes? Some people like within 6 months crack it. Some people crack it within a year. Some people it takes 3 years. People it takes five.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you gonna do? What it takes, and are you gonna do yeah, what it takes to stay in the game
Mhm.
for your journey, and are you gonna how are you going to be, and are you going to treat it like the craziest spiritual journey of your life? Because it is like this period that I'm going through now, I get to make what this means in my life. And I'm like, thank God this is happening, like, thank God I don't have my 15 clients or whatever. And then God, I'm so, so, so grateful for the 5 clients that I do have, because they're
Yeah.
like so amazing. So I'm not losing sight of that. And yeah, yeah, pivoted a bit there, but
No, that was so good. That was so, so,
mm,
so good. It's like whatever is happening in your life, how are you rising to that occasion? And also
mm,
trusting that you're getting exactly what you need in that
yeah,
moment, whether it's more clients or less clients. And knowing that it's a spiritual journey. Like, thank God it's
mm,
happening no matter what's happening.
yeah, yeah.
But that takes a
Totally.
lot for people to get to. I mean, that's someone listening to this right now might be like, well, fuck that. Like, no, but like pay attention to that because that's part of
Yeah,
your medicine. That's part of your journey.
yeah. And they're like, there's so many ways to stay in the game. I think people like let the fear get to them. Like,
Yeah.
if you need a job to do something on the side that will support your coaching business, then you'll do that. Like, it's not a big thing. I will say, and this is like not a public service announcement for QCA, but I didn't really know what I was signing up for, because I did it so quickly, like within 24 hours of the application call. And I was reflecting on that today. I was like, that was the best, quickest decision I've ever made in my life. And it's crazy because I'm like such a details person. And I knew nothing about the coaching industry, actually. Like what I've experienced in the coaching industry for the last 2 years, I'm like, whoa. But leading up to that point, like I had been coached or been like worked with spiritual mentors and transformation facilitators that were like in person. So I had no idea about the online coaching industry or the coaching industry.
Feel it.
And you give us the best fighting chance.
No.
No, you do.
I love
Like it's not even, and I didn't know it back then when I was signing up, because I didn't know about the journey and I didn't know what else was in the industry. I spoke to a lot of like other coaches. I saw a lot of other certifications and did my due diligence on those. But you literally, from the business to the marketing to the other courses that are included, like you give us the best fighting chance, and you really care about our success, and we really feel that. um so yeah, like if you want to be like it is your, I'm not just saying this, like it's people's best fighting chance at being successful is going through QCA.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. It means so
Yeah.
much to me, obviously. And literally, when we voice message back and forth on Instagram, Ashleigh's always just like, do you understand how much I love QCA? How much like you're always, always complimenting. And
Mm.
I just love you. And I think that you're such a beautiful example of what's possible and, and also a beautiful example of, you know, the seasons, right? Where you're ebbing and you're flowing and you have
Mm.
clients and you can have more clients and you can have less clients and it's okay and
Mm.
you're trusting and I think that's really challenging for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, look, like it was just the other day that I was like, I'm doing a lot of reflection on like what are the stories that I'm telling right now. And like I've been so fixated. I was disappointed. I was like, flip, I was just about like I had a couple of clients, I had 3 clients, and I was just about to freaking take off, and then I had to shut it down. And I'm like, that's like such an old story now though for me, because I'm like, I was getting a bit fixated on, oh well, I had to shut my business down and that's why, and that's it, blah blah, and it held me back. I've been held back. That's not why we're, and I'm just like, that's a bullshit story. Like that
Right.
all happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen. I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And like I have no doubt that what I'm building right now, because I've also been doing so much work behind the scenes, like building courses and like ways for people to work with me at every single level. Like the foundations I'm being gifted the time to lay right now are gonna be insane. And I'm setting myself up really beautifully for this business that's gonna,
Ooh,
yeah.
that is really just something I want to highlight, where it's like, okay, if today you were granted 25 new clients, you would want to have the systems in place and the back end in place to be able to support those clients for the best possible experience, you know? And
Totally.
so that's what you're setting up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm loving it. Like I love building courses. Like I love teaching. My mom's a teacher, my aunt's a teacher. I
Yes.
love that aspect um of business and yeah.
Mm,
So I'm really enjoying that.
oh my gosh, that's so amazing. I was
Yeah.
reflecting, I was writing a post and I was like, okay, what separates our QCA students from, what was the post? It was like, what separates them, or what was it? I can't fully remember what it was, but it was like, what, damn it, I can't think of it. Hold on, I'm gonna find the content right now.
Go
Okay.
for it.
What separates content? I have it in my notes here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. What do all of our most successful QCA alumni have in common? What do you think my answer is?
The first thing that sprang to mind was like energy, like big coach energy, but I feel like that's too obvious and there's something deeper there.
I think all of it encompasses that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
BCE, integrity, like,
Well, you
mm,
kind of said it before. Like,
yeah.
what did you say before? You said something along the lines of just like, how much do you want it?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I wrote, but I was just like, what does it really take to be successful? Obviously, you have to know your craft. You have to be confident in that. You have to have your BCE in check and lock,
Mm,
and you have to show up for it.
yeah. Totally.
The commitment.
Yeah. The commitment. And I think, like, again, I would have never known how valuable this was before doing QCA, but like being able to be a part of the alumni group, even and the ways that you keep us involved even afterwards, it's so, I'm so inspired by everyone else in QCA. And I get on those calls and it's like, that gives us, again, you're going to need grit
Yeah.
to stay and do this thing. And you're going to need grit at every level. Like whether you have your 25 clients or your 15 clients, like we're growing. If you're listening to this, I'm pretty sure you want a multiple six-figure business at
Yeah.
the very least. And if that is what you want, y'all better fucking know what it means to have staying power and grit and perseverance for that, no
Mm.
matter how quickly it happens. And so I feel like QCA, just like the community and the way it's set up, has been so helpful. Like just those monthly alumni calls, even, and like getting back in the energy, getting like the energy flowing again, being inspired by everyone, getting to speak to you and Jenna, get like coaching from you and Jenna. We always talk about this, like a million people need to be on those calls.
I know. I'm like, we need to fix this. We need more people on
Yeah.
the alumni calls. Everyone come.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you're
And
teaching us business there. Yeah. Anyway.
there's a lot. There's so much inside, but I love what you just said about staying power, because
Mm,
that is it's also a mindfulness practice, right? Where it's like, it's even in your meditation when you're feeling suffering and you feeling it come up in your body, it's about the staying power,
mm, yeah.
stay, like staying is so
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. Sitting with discomfort or uncomfortable feelings, sitting with
Yes.
like, oh, what I'm looking at is like not matching to what I think it should be. Like, how quickly can you just get into alignment with what is?
Mm, so good. So good.
Mm,
So I know that you work with people to deeply rewire the dick energy, the deepest inner critic energy, and the
mm.
imposter syndrome. And I would love to know, like, what do you feel is the cure for imposter syndrome for most people? What do you, how, okay, I know I'm stacking questions. Go ahead. Do you want to go for that one first?
No, say
Okay,
more.
I was gonna say that's a big question. I
Mm.
was gonna ask you, first of all, why do you think imposter syndrome is such a big thing that comes up for people? Like, what even is it?
I think it's the human experience conundrum of not enoughness. I was saying this to a client the other day because she was like, she's struggling with like wealth stuff and money stuff. And she's like, I've done all this money mindset stuff. And I've like done all the courses and everything. And I was like, okay, so if the money mindset stuff isn't working, it means you have a worthiness issue and maybe a self-love issue. So forget about the money mindset, focus on that because you're obviously not feeling like enough. You're feeling like this imposter. And she wanted to go back into, she's like, oh, but when I grew up, my parents were actually really great with me. And I was like, listen, this we are all born with this enoughness deficiency. It is the human experience. We spiritual beings coming down to have this human experience of not enoughness. And if we all just felt like we were enough, we'd all be enlightened beings walking around the planet. So it's just a manifestation of that. And in some people, it's really freaking big. And in some people, it's smaller. And depending on what phase you are in your life, it may be really huge, this big gaping hole, or maybe small. I've heard that it's to experience contrast. I don't know if I said this on the call before we got on this call, on the call, but when we on the other side, like I don't know if you've watched these near death experiences, like people who die and come back. There's like
No.
a whole bunch of them on YouTube. You have to watch them. They are insane. And I was like on the floor of my kitchen crying, listening to one before. They're so deep. And it's these people who like crossed over to the other side and all they felt was like immense feelings of love and acceptance and like a feeling of coming home. And like they all talk about this unconditional acceptance like almost more than love, like just being told like this overwhelming feeling of acceptance. And so if that's what's waiting for us on the other side as spiritual beings, I think we come down to experience this contrast of not acceptance and the ego and all of that to like revive that. Because if you're just on that plane all the time,
Yeah.
not that it loses its finesse, but there's something to be said for contrast. And then I think we also come down to experience that contrast to like evolve our
Yeah.
spirits beyond, and then we go to the other side and then our spirit is like evolved in some way on the other side of that acceptance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. The duality is like
Mm.
part of our creation. I also feel like, I don't know if you feel this way. I feel like being here, I try to, it's hard to balance with all the suffering, right? But I try to also gamify everything where it's just like this is just a game and we get to have fun here. Like we get to just be, we get to express ourselves. And I remember this is like, I don't know, but I remember just like when I was in college and I was in Amsterdam and I did mushrooms for like the second time ever in my life. And I'm walking around, I'm having this experience of just like, this is my world. Like this world is of my creation. Like we are all God and we're all God experiencing ourselves in this world where it's like, okay, the world is like a direct reflection of you in all moments. And I was just having that like profound knowing of it's all me everywhere I look, like the consciousness. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Totally. 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 Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
I
it's
also, I feel
yeah,
like we came for different, our souls came for different things. And when I tap into my thing, and I actually had such a beautiful statement that Haley did with one of the QCA, like when we do our calling and our that
yeah,
whole amazing exercise. And mine was all about like bliss and fun. And I really do believe like I came here to have fun and experience bliss. Like that's this incarnation. Like what I was doing 8 generations ago in the witch hunt, I don't know. But today I'm like, I fucking came here to experience fun and bliss and joy and like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I came
And
for.
don't you feel like you've been here like so many times?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, me too. I'm like, okay, I get it. I like, is
yeah.
that why we're so, or is that like a joke on us? Like we think we get it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Do you ever think about the body that you chose?
I do. I do. Yeah. I'm like, I'm quite attached to this life. I've got to be honest.
Yeah,
Like
same.
I'm like pretty happy with my life and I'm like I don't really want this one to end.
I feel the same way. I
Like
love
you
my
guys,
life.
I'm
I
good.
fucking love life and I love this body and I'm so grateful for this experience and just
Yeah.
this vehicle is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like
Exactly.
maybe we had really shitty vehicles before and we're like, okay, this life we're gonna get like a Ferrari, baby. We're gonna
Yeah,
go for a ride. Like
exactly. Upgrade.
upgrade. This is
Well,
so
like anyone listening to this got an upgrade
yeah,
because anyone, like, and I don't want to gaslight people out of their own life stories and difficult experiences, but I think it's safe to say you're listening to this on like a phone and a podcast and stuff like that. Like, we got the upgrade.
got the
And
upgrade. We're so
so,
blessed to be able to hear this,
yeah.
be
Yeah.
connected to this information, even, you know, like
Mm,
not that we're connecting you to it, but we're just part of this conversation together, you know,
mm, totally.
as a community. Um, wow. I'm loving like all these little places we're taking this conversation.
So much fun.
What about um your acting career? Are you,
Mm.
because we didn't really get much into that, but I know that I mean, for those of you who don't know, Ashleigh's been on like big shows in South Africa and you know, you've had quite a career. Are you still doing that? Are you just focused on coaching?
Mm.
What has that been like to kind of lead with coaching and not lead with acting anymore?
Yeah. So now that I've been back in South Africa, I actually had a callback for how crazy is this? A wellness online content, like an online wellness yogi influencer who her name is Boho Gaia. Like it's fucking weird. Like since I got back, the universe has been sending me to like castings that are just reflecting like my life and my life's lessons. Like I went
Oh,
to a casting the other day about someone like I was having a bit of a down day. This was like just as I came back to South Africa and the casting was about this person who's like unsatisfied with life and she keeps looking at what like other things going on to like reinforce her dissatisfaction. And it was literally what I felt like I was learning at the time. And I started laughing in the casting as I was being briefed this thing. I was like, universe.
right. So first of all, let's just
Yeah.
like talk about that for a second, where when life is immediately reflecting your inner world,
Yeah.
right? Like that.
Mm,
It's so, to me, it's like you said, universe, like, oh my God, like it's not just like, oh, this happens all of the time. We're just not
mm,
noticing it. And I think it goes back to realizing like how powerful is it that the universe could literally reflect you back to you through
mm,
situations. Like what are the odds that that casting would come to you and that you happen to be in South Africa at this time to receive that casting and on the day that you were thinking that and feeling that? Like there's so many elements at play
mm.
that just goes to show me anytime something like that happens where I'm really aware of it, that anything is fucking possible,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. That's such a great reminder. Like, yes, that's so obvious, but yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
anything's possible. Like if that could reflect that to you, anything's possible. And it's just funny how we're always being reflected things like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when I went to the monastery and I was like, I make money doing absolutely nothing and like staring at a wall. I like I can't tell you how much money I received while I was there. It was insane. I was like, and then yeah, so acting, my acting career is how I learned about manifestation and mindset. And like I had my own dark night of the soul and acting, and it's a long story. But I was back in South Africa again after having tried to go to America, and it was like this LA dream that I'd had for 12 years, like just hadn't materialized. And I got back and I was so down about it. I was so disappointed. Like really, like it was like my dreams had been crushed. And um one of the stories I was telling at the time was there's no comedy in South Africa because our film scene tends to be pretty like it's a lot of drama, like very sad stories come out of South Africa. And I wanted to be in LA because I love comedy. Like if I could just be in rom-coms and like sitcoms and like Friends, like
Oh my
that's
God.
my jam. Like so
Yes.
much fun. That's what I want to do. And there's like none of that in South Africa. And I kept saying that. I was like, like I'm not here. I'm supposed to be in LA where I can do comedy. So I noticed that as a limiting belief, like through doing mindset and manifestation work in this course that I was doing. And I rewired that to um, the right roles are on their way to me.
Mm.
And at the same time as well, I'd moved to Johannesburg. Usually I'm in Cape Town, and there's a different film scene in Johannesburg. And a lot of people told me that because it's more local work, that like white people don't get a lot of work there because most of the roles are like for African stories and all of that. And someone told me if you are white, you better be able to speak Afrikaans, which is like the form of Dutch language here,
Okay.
because there's a small Afrikaans film scene and I don't speak fluent Afrikaans. So I was getting all these like limiting beliefs put on me
Makes
about
sense.
Johannesburg. Basically, like, what the fuck am I doing trying to act in Johannesburg? Because like I'm not the right actress for this place. So I was like, I'm not going to take any of that on. And these are all very real statistical
Yeah.
things. Like, it's not like bad, it's fine. It's just like the reality of the situation. But I was not taking it on. So my mantra became the right roles are on their way to me. And the role that I booked two roles, but the one role that I booked was for it was on our biggest broadcasting network. It was a TV series. It was a mockumentary, South Africa's first mockumentary style, kind of like The Office.
Mm.
And it was told from like an African story perspective about this wedding planning company. It was comedy. And I was playing, it was an English TV show, but I was playing an Afrikaans girl speaking English on the show, on this comedy show.
Wow. That is unbelievable.
And one of my other things was like, sometimes I think that acting is vain, limiting belief holding me back from my success at the time. And I was like, no, part of the right roles are on their way to me was like, I tell impactful roles. And on this TV series, I got to be a Zulu bride and marry a Zulu man. And South Africa's history is the Afrikaans were responsible for apartheid. So typically, most of the racism that happened in South Africa, like the story is like Afrikaans people and like Zulu people are like racist toward each other. So I got to be part of a story of like this really cool girl marrying this guy, and I got to have a Zulu wedding and wear a Zulu like dress that was like beaded with the hat, like total traditional. It was a dream come true. It was so amazing. It was insane.
Oh my God. Wow. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with this whole story. I didn't know that full story. That is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And there's so much in there around not taking on the beliefs of the world around you,
Yeah.
not putting other people's limitations on you, because the only way other people's limitations can become your limitations is if you allow them to be.
Mm,
And you
totally.
didn't.
Yeah. And people want to get so wrapped up in well, this is what, like, it's true. Like, it's true that, like,
This is history. This is history. This is facts.
yeah. Yeah. And like one of the other mantras I had for my acting career is like, I'm the exception to every single rule in this business because there are exceptions. And why not me?
Mm, I love that.
Yeah.
Wow, you're so powerful. And this is what makes Ashleigh such an amazing coach, because she is always, and you're always in your own work. You're always,
Mm.
learning for yourself, and you're able to have that deeper listening for your clients, because you can see, you can sense that, you can hear their their limiting beliefs, their deepest inner critics, and helping them rewire that energy, like just like you've rewired so many times.
Mm,
Um, I think it's
thank
so
you.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. I do think like my zone of genius is very much getting people to believe in themselves and like
Yeah.
clients. I had this one client being like, well, I'm quite set in my beliefs and I don't know if they're going to change. And I was like, well, let's talk before we sign on as a client. Like, because if you've decided already, then we can't do anything. And she's like, oh, okay. No, no, I haven't decided. And we got to flip every single one of her limiting beliefs on the head. She was actually an actress as well. But yeah. And she's like manifested a play now. She like, yeah, she had like this big story around being anyway, yeah, I don't want to go into it. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's amazing what happens when you can start to identify the stories that we have. And that's also the power of having a coach, is because you don't necessarily know what your stories are. But when you start talking and you have someone who has this like very high listening ability and skill set, you can really be shown your mirror. I feel like coaching is really just like a mirror, you know?
Mm,
You're putting up a mirror to show someone, hey, this is what's up. This is what's happening
yeah,
in your life. This is what's
yeah.
manifesting. And there's another reality that's available to you right here. But this is why this is showing up. And
Mm,
it's about like helping them connect those dots, you know?
totally. Totally. And I feel like as well, like the question asking and like the it's like we're like kind of mind fucking the subconscious mind. Like you're
Yeah.
like you just like the rewiring is insane because you're just like giving it like almost like if you ask the right questions, your inner critic or the limiting beliefs, they have a roadblock and it's almost like this glitch in the system where they're like, wait, I can't, I'm trying to, and like by the end of the session, they're trying to think that way and like they just don't believe it or can't think that way anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. My clients at the end of the session are like laughing and they're like, what? And then I always go back and I'm like, so tell me about this thing. They're like,
They're like, I don't feel it anymore. Oh my God. What's your favorite tool inside of QCA that you use with your clients? Or like
um,
top three?
the quantum belief rewire
Yes.
session, like so powerful. And yeah, I was coaching a cardiovascular scientist. Sorry. What the fuck she was my first, like one of my first clients. And
Oh my
she
God.
had an amazing, like she's doing her PhD right now, which she said she would have never done had it not been for working with me. She came for 7 months before coming to me. For 7 months, she was applying for jobs for hours every single night, trying to get out of her current situation. Sorry, this is a bit of segue again,
Okay.
but um, she she graduated, so she had her master's in cardiovascular science. Didn't work for a couple of months because of COVID, and just took a job like any job, and all she needed was a high school. So, and it was an awful job. So she'd been trying to get out of this job by applying for jobs, and she couldn't even get an interview before working with me. And then within 3 months, she got like 5 different interviews and then eventually got offered this PhD position. And she was like, I would have never taken the PhD. Like, I would have just her imposter syndrome and self doubt. She's like, I would have never agreed to it. But like, you, through our work together, anyway, she loved the quantum belief rewire tool. Like, in her
Wow.
testimonial, she was like, being able to see what my life would be like if I let these
Yes.
beliefs like run amok was just like it was so shocking to her.
Mm.
And she was just like, I can't keep like letting my inner critic do this to me.
It's
Yeah.
so amazing. It's so
Yeah.
amazing. I want to know your other two favorite tools, but I
Yeah.
also just want to point out like that is quantum coaching. What Ashleigh just shared about was, she helped her client do the work and get really clear on the limiting beliefs and the stories and what felt really hard for her to do before, like manifesting a job and all these things, you know, then became easy and it opened up. Like, how did that reality open up? Where does that come from? It comes from Ashleigh as the coach holding the vision for this person that it's all available all the time. It's available now. And no matter how stuck you may be in this moment, there's work to be done that's going to unlock that reality for her. And that's what happened. It's like we get through the belief and then we shift into this other potential reality. Wild.
Yeah, so wild. And it was crazy because so she was one of my first clients. I think if I hadn't done QCA, maybe I wouldn't have taken her on because I'm like, what
Because you're
the fuck
imposter
do
syndrome.
I know about? Well, what do I know about cardiovascular science? Like, I've
Right.
also never worked in corporate. I do not know. I've never interviewed for a job, although I've basically acting as all you're doing is interviewing for jobs
Yeah.
through the form of an audition. But like, what did I know about that? And she was also very she was Christian, like very Christian in her faith and her spiritual system. And so, she didn't really look at manifestation exactly in the most like woo-woo way that we look, but I was still able to like hold all of that so beautifully for her.
That's
And
so
she
amazing.
really felt so close to God by the end of it. Like she really was like, yeah, it was like a spiritual journey for her as well, obviously.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. How do you differentiate between God and the universe, or do you?
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
I
for me
think
too.
whatever feels most powerful. I've kind of gone back to God for
Yeah.
some reason.
Have you
It
read
feels
Conversations with God, the book?
no, but it's like sitting right here somewhere and I
Yeah.
need to read it. I know it's so good. I've
It
had
yeah, it was the first book that I read after I like had my spiritual awakening, and then that like took me to another level. And it really does that. You feel connected to God now. Wait till you finish that book.
oh wow. Okay. I gotta read it.
Really, really,
Yeah.
you're gonna love it. I want to read it
Mm,
again.
mm.
Okay, so quantum
You want
belief.
the other two? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other one would definitely be the mission, like the mission and the calling
Mm,
exercise. And because like especially in my line of work, when your mission and your calling is so clear, and again, I also um what's so cool about QCA is like we get all your courses. Sorry, someone's WhatsApping me. Let me just exit this. So popular.
can't even hear
Just kidding. Oh, okay, cool.
it. You are.
Um, um, I watched your courses and I saw what's so cool is I got to see as well how you weave a lot of the amazing tools that we get given into courses. So
Yes.
I think like I scanned through like the Manifest Your Magic course,
Yep.
I think it
Yep.
was,
Yep.
which I actually yeah. Um so that was so helpful, by the way, for yeah, little top tip if any QCA people are listening, like go through all the courses and
I
see.
try and tell people that I'm like, you're gonna see how I do this when you go through the Receive program or you go through Manifest Your Magic. It's all there.
Yeah. Yeah. When I wanted to make my program, you told me to go look at, yeah, I was having all sorts of doubts. You're like, just go watch the program. It will be fun.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Um, yeah. So, because when you're clear on your calling and your mission, it's very hard to doubt yourself
Yeah.
because, it takes you, it's not about you. Self doubt is about you. And the thing is, especially if you're a coach or someone who's in a service-based business or anyone really, like your mission is not like it's not about you, it's about someone else. So as soon as you make that switch from thinking about like, oh, this is about me, it's like, no, it's about this other person. And when you're so clear on that mission, I get all my clients, like I force them to take their mission and print it out and stick it on their like laptop or at their desk. And I'm like, when you have that doubt, you look at your mission and what the fuck you came here to do. Okay.
Boom. That's a great
And
idea. I love that.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, last one.
Last one. I'm trying to avoid saying time technique because
Well,
it's
I was
so
hoping you would say
okay,
that.
cool. I feel like it's so obvious, I was like, I'm
But
trying
people
to
that are listening that have no idea what it is.
yeah, time technique's insane.
Yeah,
Really, really cool.
it's a certification that our students get inside of the program.
Yeah. I feel like every time I do it with a client, there's like this immenseness about it's subtle, but people have had wild experiences that
Yeah.
I like way like it's been done on me. I've had clients that I didn't even think were that spiritual have whack ass spiritual, crazy experiences in time technique.
Mm,
And like I was coaching a guy, he was um maybe in his late 50s, um, Orthodox Jewish, in like he has like an accounting, and I always like to say these things because it's like, what am I doing coaching these people? He had an accounting degree and he's like a businessman with like all these different businesses. And I did time technique with him, and like he got visited by his grandfather. Like it was amazing. And like when he came back, and he has this like super kind of right brain. Is it right brain? I never know which one it is, but like, like businessman,
yeah.
and I'm taking him on this crazy time spiritual
That's,
experience. It's also very subtle. Yeah.
I love that you shared that because it's also like you coach all these different types of people on self-doubt and imposter syndrome. And I think it's a really good example because I think a lot of people stress out about having the right niche or having the right, you know, whatever ideal client. That's like a big thing for people. And I think that you're just leading with what you're really good at, and
Mm.
you're attracting people that are meant to work with you. And it doesn't have to be like some crazy niche down thing.
Yeah. If it makes you feel good to niche down, do it. And if you find this pocket and you're like, I would say explore the niche, like
Yeah.
for me, it was maybe going to be acting, but I think you and Jenna also at once suggested, like, why don't, and I just wasn't like, I wasn't that inspired by it.
Yeah.
And so I think do what like inspires you. Again, you're going to need grit and perseverance. And so you need to pick something that's going to keep you interested and inspired along the way. And so if you discover a pocket, like go look around, think about it. If you discover a pocket, cool. I know it can work for people. But if you're not inspired, like, I just can't think of anything worse than doing something in your business that's not inspiring. Like literally,
Mhm.
can't think of anything worse than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh. This has been such a good conversation. I'm loving it so much. So, Ashleigh, what makes you a badass manifester?
Mm. Shit, I should have been prepared for this question. What makes me a badass manifester? I think I think I'm a bit of a rebel, and like I really like when everyone's like, "Hey, we should all go left." I'm like, "Fuck no. Why aren't we going right? I want to go right." And so I think like the things that I've manifested have always been so
Hmm.
like off the cuff, and I love how my manifestation practice supports like my rebellious nature and just pretty much doing whatever the fuck I want to do,
Mm.
and always coming from a heart centered space in that.
Yes, my rebel, my loving rebel that you are.
Yes, it's
It's
perfect.
so funny because you describe yourself that way, but I wouldn't describe you that way.
Oh, really, it's
No,
funny.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love that side of you.
Yeah. I'm always
What,
looking, like, even in the coaching industry, I'm like,
yeah,
how are people? I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Like,
right.
yeah. Yeah.
What about what did you say in one of our calls in QCA? Like, I feel that in my toes or something. What did you say?
I can't remember. I feel that in my, I know what you're talking about, but now I can't.
Damn, that was so good. It was like I feel it in my toes. I don't know. I'm gonna ask Jenna now.
Oh, no. I'll try and
But
remember. I
people,
feel it
I
in
was gonna
my,
say that the people listening to this, they're feeling it in their toes.
oh, I hope so.
From your toes all the way up
The
to your
tips
nose.
of my toes. What do I say? I'm feeling it in my. It was probably a South. I say all these South African things, and my
Oh,
American friends just laugh at me. Like,
so funny.
apparently, we say like you fell pregnant, and my
Yeah,
friends like, "What do you mean you fell pregnant?"
you felt pregnant. That's so funny.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know, you fell pregnant.
I love it.
So maybe it was one of those.
Thank you so much for coming on here
Mm.
and sharing your story and everything that you've got going on, the amazing coach that you are. Um, would love for you to share. I think it's inspiring because You are the perfect example of someone who came into QCI with zero business, really
Mm.
no coaching experience except being coached yourself and working with other, like you said, mentors and spiritual teachers. Um, and now you have this beautiful business that you are so passionate about, and you're creating all these beautiful things, these programs, and you're working with people one-on-one, obviously causing immense transformation. So like looking back on that for yourself of like what you have created, how does that feel?
Incredible.
Yeah. It's
Really
really
incredible. Yeah. Yeah. It's like business is such a wild ride. And like, yeah, I've learned so much about myself. Like I can't even explain of what I'm capable of. Um, being in the lives of like all my clients. Like I adore my clients so much. I'm like, is it normal to love these people this much in like a coaching relationship? But I really do. And I just love like the community that I'm growing for myself. And I'm really, yeah, I feel really, I love it. I love every part of business. This is like the thing we were speaking about acting and I took us on another direction. But I don't like, I feel like acting was this childhood dream and I didn't realize that the process of acting would be so shit.
mm,
And once you on set, it's amazing, sure. But there's this whole other side of acting of like being unemployed for so many months and auditioning and not being able to plan things and like the amount of actors that have missed their best friends' weddings because they had a job and like you don't know when you're gonna get another job. And I had no idea I was like experiencing like I had this dream, but there's no freedom in acting. Like you have to stick around. Like if you go, you don't want to leave because you have to stay for auditions, but you don't get paid for auditions.
yeah.
Anyway, so being able to, where was I going with that? Oh, so I wasn't like in love with the process, but coaching, like I love coaching, actual coaching so much, and I love business so much, and I love learning about like growing this community of people and serving them through free masterclasses and
Yeah.
creating the next free thing and this and that, and like it's so dynamic, and I'm just like
Mm.
fucking love every part of the process, even when it's hard, because I'm getting to learn about myself, like
Oh,
everything.
that's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. And if anyone's stepping into any business or anything that you feel passionate about, yeah, like loving every single part of the process, even the hard stuff. And
Mm,
it is challenging at times for sure, but you're doing it anyway because you love it and you're here for
mm,
this. You know,
mm,
you are fucking here for this. You're holding on, you're
yeah.
doing it, you're moving forward.
Yeah. And I have a question, like if someone's listening to that and they're like, well, what do you mean I'm hating it so much right now? Like what changes, and maybe there's 1 to 3 changes in your life, what changes can you make to allow yourself to enjoy the process?
Mm,
What
yeah.
can you do? What decision
I
can you make? Because people get stuck in a rut.
They do. Even when it's your own business, I've been there too, where it's like, oh, I forgot that I make the rules. You
Mm,
know, I forgot, like, oh, I'm in charge. I can change this
yeah,
if I want to.
exactly.
I'm the one that's
Yeah.
calling the shots here. So I don't have to sit here and be miserable and do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good. So how can people work with you? Everyone that's listening that's like,
Mm.
oh my gosh, Ashleigh's energy is amazing, and her voice and her energy and her thoughts and her words and her wisdom. Like, how can they actually work with you?
Yes. So I have my one-on-one coaching container and you can always DM me on Instagram. I'm there. You can go check it out. So I
At
have that open.
the
Yeah,
alchemized spirit.
at the Alchemized Spirit. And then what I do really cool because I created this program, the Next Level Success Group Coaching Program. It's part course, part coaching. So
Yep.
on a Monday, I'm still teaching the master classes live, which is pretty insane. So people get to ask me questions in the live
That's
masterclass. It's
awesome.
like a mindset and manifestation program, but imagine the course creator was teaching live and 3 days later on a Thursday, you got hot seat one-on-one coaching from them.
My
Well, in a
God.
group.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And that program is insane. Like the people that went through it, I ran it once this year. This was also part of like me saying I could have run this program again this year, but I was just tired. like I was like, I need to chill. So it's running again in Jan, and my last participants, it was insane. Like everyone, I had coaches in there, and they're like, we've done all the mindset manifestation, we've done therapy, nothing has gotten us to change the way this program has. It really is very insane and unique. And I channeled it in the Zen monastery. Like
Oh my
it came
goodness.
together. It's like the culmination, because I've been doing this work for like 10, 12 years. And
Yes.
it's the best of all the Zen masters, spiritual teachers, coaches that I've worked with over the last 12 years. Like I've taken the best tools and stuff and put it into this program. And if you work with me one-on-one, I give people the program, and, obviously if you don't want to do it, it's okay. But people who get amazing results actually do the modules, and then you get one-on-one coaching from me after you've done the modules. It's like doing a mindset and manifestation program, but you're getting one-on-one coaching along with it.
Okay. Everyone, don't walk, run. Run to Ashleigh's Instagram and DM her and let her know that you want to do it, because you're enrolling for you will be enrolling for January.
Yeah. So one-on-one, you can get started like yesterday if you want. Well, it
Yes.
depends how many people are going to be rushing. But the first round of the group coaching program will happen in Jan. So
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
And there's like, if you want to sign up early, I've got early sign up bonuses and all those things.
And are you also planning a retreat in South Africa?
I will eventually. So
Okay.
I have, if you're in Cape Town in January, I will be doing a weekend retreat. So it's going to be at my mom's house. I almost just did it, but then too much was going on. But it's like a day retreat. So people, they sleep at home, but they come to my house during the day. My mom's got this beautiful house, this rooftop, like studio garden thing. And yeah, we do the retreat during the day, and then they can sleep at home at night. And I'll send them home with like a goodie bag of things to put on their altars. And they go home and be in silence. So it's like setting up your own space at home, come back. Yeah.
Love that. Okay. There's so much goodness coming from you. I love watching you just expand in every way and help so many people and just really embody your purpose, your calling and mission out into the world. You inspire me. I love being connected with you. And seriously, if you've been looking for a coach, Ashleigh is such an incredible coach, such an incredible soul, and she will change your life. So
thank you, Ash.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Love you so much.
Love you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Have an amazing rest of your day, and we will see you and talk to you next week. Bye. Keep being badass. Woo! We did some work today. Thank you so much for listening. You know I love my BAM fam. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who you know would love it too, because we live for the ripple effect over here. And how can you best support the show? Make sure you're subscribed, hit the 5 stars, and leave a review on iTunes, and let me know how the podcast has impacted you. I love being part of your real-time journey, so screenshot the episode and tag me and my guests on Instagram at Manifest with Ash. Now say it with me. I am my own power source. I am the master of my own energy, and I deserve everything that I desire. We don't just talk about it over here, we be about it. Now go get 'em.